Hey everyone, this is Kat
and Amber,
and we are Wondering Soup in Merida, Mexico. And as always, we come with you with a little bit of knowledge. A little bit. Just a little bit. So I've been seeing a lot of questions being asked in the different groups that I'm in, or that we're in, because we're in a lot of the same groups, talking about where should I move to? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean,
What kind of question is that? No, seriously. Like, there's no one.
There's no one answer.
Yeah.
When you ask a question like that, like there are so many variables and so many things you got to consider, or you need to consider. And that's the purpose of today's video, is to basically point you down the pathway that you need to be on to get to where you want to go.
Right. Just some things to think about.
Yeah, just some things to think about. Because we really truly don't know where you should move to. We don't even know where we want to move to sometimes.
Right.
You know, we be all over the place. It's like, oh, that look good, let's go there.
Throw a dart.
Yeah.
Turn the globe.
Right, spin it. So, anyway, so let's start out with
We actually did do that.
A little bit, we did. So, and this is in no particular order. We're just going to go down the list of things that you should probably think about if you are considering moving abroad. Just that simple.
Yeah.
Right? So let's start with the first one, ease to and from the US of A.
Yeah, so that's something to think about, right? Ease to and from wherever your home country, whether it be the US or wherever you're coming from and you're deciding to go. Because it may be that you're truly just out on your own. Like you can really go wherever. Like you don't have to worry about getting back to your home country to check on people or to handle business. In which case, that's not really going to be a factor for you.
Not at all.
So, you can go more in that direction. Whereas, if your work depends on communication with people in your home country, for instance, or just handling your personal business,
right.
If you're going to need to do that during the business hours of your home country, you really have to consider whether you need to be in a time zone that's very close to your home country. So that's a very big thing to think about and to consider, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're so far away and just the things you have to do to get your business handled on a daily basis, you can't do because you have to be up all night to talk to people, or you have to, you're going to have to fly back every couple months, and the ticket prices are just not going to
work out
feasible. Yeah, so definitely consider that.
Right. If you get family that's still in the U.S., whatever your home country may be, and you need to check on them every 3 to 4 months,
right.
If you have to come back, then you probably don't want to move to Southeast Asia,
Right.
Because that's a 36-hour to even longer flight, and that's 36 here, 36 back.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a few days out of every trip gone, and then you got the jet lag to think about, catching up. So that's a factor. If you need to come back to your home country every 3 to 4 months, how much traveling do you want to do to accomplish that?
Right.
Now again, as Amber mentioned, if you don't have to go home or even communicate with whatever your home country is in a reasonable time frame, 3-4 hour time difference, then it doesn't really matter. Your boundaries, your borders are open.
Right.
But for a lot of people, that's not going to be the case. So you really need to consider flights, and you need to consider time zones.
Yep.
The next one is visa ease, residency, or citizenship. Those things will matter. When you go to a country and you can enter and you can only stay 90 days and you have to leave to renew that tourist visa, if you're moving there on a tourist visa, that's going to be added cost. Some countries you can go for a year, some countries you can go for 6 months and you don't have to leave. So you got to think about that. And that's basically on tourist visas, and visas you got to research anyway. For almost every country that you're going to, there's going to be a different visa policy. We get into that when we talk about where to move to and that segment of our playlist, so go check that out. But there are rules and regulations for every visa. You have to make sure that you can meet the criteria for that, and if it's applicable to you. Some countries, if you're on a tourist visa, you can't work or work where they can see you working.
Right.
If that makes any sense. So you got to check into all those things. And if you want to move there and you want residency, what does that mean? Does it mean staying in the country for a certain length of time, learning the language, how much money you have to have in your bank account. Those are the things you need to research. And if you want citizenship, then you're looking at a whole nother different layer to that. So research not only the visa to enter the country, residency if you want to stay there, and citizenship if you really truly want to be a part of that country.
Yeah, and just because some people, just because you know somebody who went to a country and they were able to do X, Y, and Z, don't assume
That it's gonna be you.
that's going to work for you, because like she said, it's different for every person. It's different levels of eligibility for different visas, and just want to make sure that you're clear on what you qualify for
Right.
in this country.
Yeah, for instance, we were looking at Colombia. Woo, there are like 10 different visas to
Right.
enter that country. We were looking at Mexico. You can come here on a 6-month tourist visa.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then all the visas for Colombia, I think there was a fee applied, there was money applied, and you couldn't come there on a tourist visa that lasted, I think, more than 30 days or 60 days, one of those things. So you got to look into those different things. Thailand was 90 days, Malaysia was 90 days, Cambodia was 30 days.
Yeah.
And so you have to do your research and expect to spend some money for most of it.
Right.
It's going to cost you some money. Ain't nothing free when you're moving overseas.
No will.
All right, next up is medical and health care.
Yeah, like, fortunately, we haven't had to worry about this too much. We've been fortunate, we've been lucky, in that we haven't had to had any emergencies as far as requiring health care. We've been able to get certain things done because we've been in places where it's been really inexpensive. We've been able to go to the dentist and things like that.
Right.
But that was also part of what we were looking at in moving. We were looking at places where we could get basic health care that would be inexpensive.
Right.
So that was actually a factor for where we were going to move, and that's something you need to think about, especially if you're not traveling with your own health insurance, or if you don't have kind of traveler's insurance, which is good to have. But you definitely want to make sure that you're looking at the healthcare of whatever destination country to see if it's even at the level that you need it to be.
Right.
If you have chronic conditions, and you can, you can get treatment for that where you're going. If not, then that's definitely an issue.
Right.
You're gonna want to make your decision definitely based on that.
Right. So as Amber mentioned, you've got to look at what is the health care cost in that country. What is it going to cost you out of pocket? What is it going to cost you with health insurance? Your chronic conditions, if they have your medication available, if you have prescriptions that have to be renewed every 30 days, 60 days, every 90 days. If you can't get it there, can you get it shipped in from wherever your home country is? Is that going to be allowed? If not, what is the medication that they use in that country that you can now switch to? Talk to your doctor about that. Find you another doctor in your new country. And if you're traveling, if you're like doing slow travel and you're not planning on setting roots in another country, you're definitely going to keep doing that for every country that you're visiting to make sure that you don't have any issues. And there's going to be some issues. There's going to be some bumps in the road. Expect that and just accept it. It's part and parcel of traveling. You're going to have to re-find yourself medically in every country you go to. So just be open to it. Pharmacies in other countries are just not like the pharmacies in the U.S. A lot of the over-counter stuff that we're used to just going up and picking, they don't have it. It's behind the counter. Simple medications that we're just, like, even my allergy pills are not on the shelf. They're behind the counter.
Yeah.
And they give you packets. It's like you ask for it. They don't hardly ever sell you a box. They want to give you like 6.
You're right.
You're like, no, I take this every day. I need 90 days supply, please. And they're like, oh no, here's 3,
Right.
here's 6, and so you got to look at that. Look up the name for your medication in the next language,
Right.
before you go there. Just make sure it's there. It's just the little things you have to do, and that may be a factor for you and where you're going to move to.
That's right. And it should be.
It should be.
Absolutely should be.
Definitely should be. Next up is, what lifestyle do you want to live? And by that I mean, I'm just going to combine this with, like, if you want to live in the city, the mountains, the beach. How do you want to live in this new country? This is an adventure for you. You're moving abroad. You're packing up. You're leaving everything that you know behind for this next country, and you should get what you want, is what I'm getting at. If you want to live on a beach, find you a country with a beach that you can live in. You want to live in a city, move to a country with a city. You know, if you want to live in a small town, go there. Don't go where everybody else is going, because those are the popular spots. Go and find what you actually want. Look for it. Do your research. If you want to move to Mexico, there are 50,000 towns in Mexico. You don't have to move to Merida. You don't have to move to Mexico City. You don't have to move to Cancun. Do some research.
You want to be in the mountains? You can be in the mountains.
You can be in the mountains in Mexico. You can be in the mountains in a lot of countries.
Right.
Do your research. Make sure it fits you. And don't get stuck on a place. If you're retired versus still working, where do you want to live at and work every day? What do you want to see when you're sitting in that home office working? Or do you want to rent an office in another country? What are the regulations for that? How do you accomplish those things? Those are the things that you need to think about when you're moving to a new country.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, let the dream live. Like if it is your dream to live and work right next to the water, then yeah, make sure you do that.
Right.
Like make sure that should be part of your decision, along with everything else, obviously. But yeah.
Why do it and get there and be mad?
Right.
Why move to the city when you hate living in the city?
Exactly.
You could have stayed in wherever country you're in. I went to the States. You could have stayed in the States.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, next up, who do you want to see when you open up your doors? Who do you want to see?
As far as people coming to visit?
So, this is a good one.
Uh-huh.
So, do you want to see people of color? Do you want to see other black people? Do you want to see people that look like you? That may narrow your country. It may open it up. You gotta think about those things.
I mean, because really, if you're traveling, you kind of have to start off by being open about who you're going to see. Don't you think? Like, it seems like you can't even come into the discussion about travel unless you're willing to be open about who you're going to see when traveling. Because you don't have any control over that.
You
know
do,
what I mean?
though.
Okay.
You do, though. Like, if you come to Mexico, you're going to see people of color. They're just not going to be black people.
That's true.
In certain cities, right? If I go to Asia, to Vietnam, I expect to see Vietnamese people. I don't expect to see black people.
Right.
But I might.
Right.
You know, but are you okay with the might?
That's the point.
Right. That's what I'm saying, but that's part of the conversation
Okay.
that you should be having with yourself. Are you acknowledging how small your world may be as a person of color, as a black person from America? Because that's really the only perspective I can speak on. Is that when we moved to Southeast Asia, I didn't expect to see many people of color, and when we did see some, we're like, hey, fam, and stuff like that. But that was like every 6 months. Every 3 months, every 2 months, maybe. You know, you may see someone. Maybe. And that's a big maybe. For some people, that's just not their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to look at countries where you know you're going to see people that look like you. Now, if you don't care, hey, it's a much wider field, I think.
I mean, I think it ties into the whole language thing, too. I think it ties into that.
And that was the next one.
Right. Is how comfortable are you being around people who may or may not speak the language that you speak? Because that is definitely, probably even more so than like seeing people that look like you or that come from the same background, but just other people who you can communicate with. Shoot, we were just begging for that in some stages, of travel. We're like, oh, we just talk to people, somebody who understands me, right? And I can, So sometimes that's the feel of home that you miss. Somebody who can speak your language. And so, how important is that to you? Like, can you go for days without having people that you can walk out into the street and speak English to? Or if you are already studying a language, that may be what helps you determine where to go, because you want to be able to be in the wild and use that language, that second language or third language. Go ahead, fourth, fifth, okay, and go there, because that's your chance, like to really get out there and use the language you've been studying. So that's a really big factor, I think.
Right. And if you're going into language, the last thing you're going to talk about is culture.
Mm-hmm.
What culture are you looking to connect with? Right? Are you looking to go back to your roots, whatever that may be? Or are you just looking to broaden your horizons and go somewhere where you've never been, experiencing something you've never experienced before? And you're looking forward to that. Those are things you have to consider. Culture is a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as important as language.
Right.
You know, I'm not
Right.
language efficient at all. I don't, no, I'm horrible.
But you can still enjoy a culture even if you don't speak the language.
Exactly.
So there's a, yeah.
Don't let language be a barrier.
Right.
As much as, if you don't enjoy the culture, then why are you moving there? You know, everybody says coming to Mexico that it's mañana, it'll be tomorrow. I'll come by tomorrow to fix it. It may not be tomorrow. It may be 3 tomorrows. But they're going to get there. Now, if that's not your personality and you cannot deal with that, then this may not be the country for you. But we honestly haven't had that issue.
No.
We really truly haven't. But we've heard about it. We just haven't experienced it as much. I think in Southeast Asia, it was hurry, hurry, hurry. Almost more so than wait. It was hurry, 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 hurry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there were just as much language barriers there as there are here. We just navigated it a little bit easier sometimes. There, point. But you know, you can do that everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but the culture, you know, you got the temples, I mean, it's just beautiful. Everywhere you go, there's so much. And America has this culture too. Don't get me wrong. But so if you want the culture and the language and you want all those things, then go.
Right.
Get it. It's there for you. So where do you want to move? I don't know. I don't know.
Let us know.
Right, where do you want to move to? Hopefully everything that we've talked about in this video is going to help point you in the right direction, help narrow down that research, because you definitely need to do some research. And then you go for it. And then tag us when you make it there. Let us know where you decided to go.
Shoot, invite us. Shoot.
Right. We're always looking for a new place to come visit. Some people who can take us out to wine and dine when we get there. Right, cup of coffee. Always. So hopefully again this helps you out. And you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, follow, do all those things you can hear and talk about the next video that's coming up next week.
Yeah. We ready. We here, y'all. We here for you.
Right. I am Kat.
And Amber.
See you in the next video, y'all. Peace and love.